speaking of what you might be doing over the course of the weekend, did you know, and I'm here to remind you, that we've got an event happening this weekend. We had Abby Elks on the show. If you don't remember, or perhaps you missed it, Abby is daughter of Jim. She is a student at Davidson Academy. I think I have this right, that she's a junior. And that she contacted me last fall and said that she was preparing to put together an adoption fair for dogs and cats and other adoptable animals for people around Middle Tennessee at her school, Davidson Academy. Of course, being the pet lover that I am, specifically the dog lover that I am, I invited her on. Abby was a very impressive young lady. She was very, very well-spoken and clearly very passionate about animal adoption. And so in advance of the adoption fair, which is happening tomorrow, more details coming, we had her back on last week. She was even more well-spoken, so much so, and Belle K knows this, that I told Abby that if she was willing to do so, when she gets out of school for the summer, if I take any time off, if I take a day or a couple of days or maybe go out of town and take a few days off, I rarely take more than 3 in a row, but if I do that, I would be willing to have Abby and her dad come on and let Abby bring in some guests and guest host the show. What is Abby? She's probably, 16?
17, I think she
17?
said she was a junior.
That would be about 17?
Yeah.
I think she would be fabulous as a guest host.
I think she'd be a quick study.
I do too. So, and this shows you how smart this young lady is. I told her that, and you know what her response was? Instead of doing what a typical, yes, oh, I would love that. Oh, I would do that. She said to me, well, what I think would be the best thing to do would be for me to come in and sit in and watch what you do just to make sure that I could do what you do. I think I might need to sit in with you for a day. And I thought, how? I mean, that's beyond your years, maturity beyond your years.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So anyway, Abby's got her big Passion for the Paws adoption fair tomorrow. Wanted to remind you of it. I would love to see you. I will be out, Davidson Academy from 10 until 3. I will not be there the entire time, but I'll be going out, dropping over some donated items. Passion for the Paws adoption fair tomorrow at Davidson Academy. Just look it up. You'll find it from 10 until 3.
If you're interested in knowing more about it, the interview with Abby was podcast the day of, so you can look back on the Matt Murphy page of the 997WTN.com site, and you will be able to find her interview.
Jim Hagaman is calling us with a little clarity on what's going on in Spring Hill. So we had Steve Abramowitz on, and Steve was telling me, oh, well, the census is going on. And I said, well, Steve, the census isn't going on. The census goes on 0 years. And he goes, no, this is different. And we had a lot of confusion and a lot of fun regarding that confusion. To clear up some of this confusion, the mayor of Spring Hill is on the line with us. He is Jim Hagaman, and he joins the Matt Murphy Show. Mr. Mayor, I've never had the pleasure of meeting you, but thank you for calling in. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Hello, Matt Murphy Show and radio listeners.
I hope everything's going well in Spring Hill. What's happening down there?
Yeah, SpringHillsIsBomb.com. Things are going great. A lot of growth happening, a lot of responsible leadership happening so that we can abate those conditions that are going on with us, and we're just loving life.
Y'all are growing, insane in Spring Hill. Tell me about some of that growth and how you as mayor and the rest of the city officials are managing some of that.
Yeah, well, okay. Hey, can I give a shout out first to I was listening to your show a little bit earlier, and you played the Friday song by Rebecca Black, which made me think of the video that Katy Perry did, which Kenny G had a cameo in. Funny video, great, well done, and Rebecca Black is awesome.
Well, you went all the way around the circle there. I like that. Absolutely. Yeah, we play. Everybody hates that song, but they love it because that signifies that it's Friday.
That's right. It's great. Good on you. And also shout out to that lady, the young lady Abby that you just called on, and yeah, that's impressive.
No, man, 17 years old, and she put this thing together herself. I think there are going to be like 7 or so adoption agencies there with dogs and cats and other animals to adopt, and just the level of organization that it takes. I mean, Mayor, how much organization it takes to put on a city festival or whatnot. For a 17-year-old to be able to do that, it truly is very impressive, and I support it 100%.
Well, Matt, you and her and I and all those out there, we're comrades with the sense of pet adoptions and those four-pawed animals. We love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with growth, with respect to growth in Spring Hill, we want to do it as we move forward incredibly responsibly, and I believe strongly that we have the staff and the leadership in place to make that happen. It's pretty exciting. The issues that we have upon us, we're tackling those as we go and making sure we don't add those to it as more growth and projected growth comes in. So it's exciting. We've got a lot of things going on. Recently, I know Channel 2, local Channel 2 here, they're following up on a big project we have going on, which is called June Lake, a 775-acre development, and that is going extremely well. That's where you guys who are local, 65, the north-south corridor, that's a big interchange that's going in there, and that's getting ready to open next month. Scheduled.
What is that? Is that road being? I know the overpass you're talking about across 65. That's the one you're referring to, the one where they just built the overpass and now they're building the interchange?
Correct, the overpass, which is between basically Highway 840 and Saturn Parkway, or 397.
And what is the road? What is that road called? Do you know?
So the road so that's a north-south.
Just a connector?
65 is north-south, and the road that goes to it perpendicular will be called June Lake Boulevard, which goes a little bit further into Spring Hill. It's called Bake.
Got it. Well, it's a byproduct of the obvious growth that's happening in your community, and congratulations for that. And, so Steve and I had a fairly comical interaction because, I was having one of those days where he's telling me, it's 2024 and the census is going on. And I'm like, Steve, you're out of your mind. The census doesn't go on until 2030. And he goes, no, this is different. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so you can come in with a little information on the aftermath of that. What are we doing locally with regard to a census, and what is its purpose?
Right. So the census, as you iterated earlier, comes on the zero. So 2030, 2040, 2020, which was back in our census in Spring Hill, showed us at the federal census of 2020 at just a few more bodies than 50,000 people in Spring Hill. Since then, since 2020 now to 2024, we estimate conservatively that we have at least 60,000 people in Spring Hill now. And so when that occurs, for every person who is alive, if you're 1 day old or up to 110 years old and all those in between, the federal government gives you money per head. And so we are missing out in Spring Hill on at least 10,000 more people every year until 2030 again, when we can get that money. We estimate that is about between 1.6 and $2 million so a year. So that's, if it's $2 million, we have 6 years left till 2030. That's $12 million that we could be in on that we don't have to miss out. So we do what's called a special census, which is outside the scope of on the zero census. And so that's what is occurring right now. And that is our plea to you from the city of Spring Hill is, if you live in the city limits of Spring Hill, which includes a Thompson Station address, please fill out that census, and that will help us get that millions of dollars that we can use towards the things that we need to do.
What do you believe? What do you believe the growth has been from 2020 to? I mean, you alluded to the amount of money that it might equate to, but what is your belief that you'll see once you complete this special census with regard to growth between 2020 and today in Spring Hill?
Yeah, so we believe that we have at least 10,000 more people in Spring Hill. So we believe from 50,000, we believe we now have easily 60,000 people in Spring Hill. That's 10 more thousand than it was census at 2020. And
I'm compelled to ask, I mean, this is a locally done deal, so you guys are kind of footing the bill locally to engage the census to conduct it?
That's correct. We did an amendment to our budget to foot that bill, and we are actually doing it in-house because we have the skill set and drive to do that in-house, so we did not have to hire consultants to do that, so we are saving the taxpayers a lot of money in that regard, and we're just hoping that everybody will comply with our request so that we can, in fact, gain those extra millions of dollars.
Well, so contrary to my contrarian attitude that I had with Steve Abramowitz earlier in the month, that we should fight against the man and refuse the census. Jim's here to tell you, don't listen to the idiot on the radio. Do the census if you're in Spring Hill, because that means that Spring Hill can get some of these amenities from the federal government that otherwise it would not get. Is that the message here, Jim? I feel like it is.
It is absolutely, and I will just tag on that. I'm with you with regard to fight the man, because the man has earned the reputation of, he is not always looking out for your best interest. But with regards to the census, it is simply to get more money for you guys. It is not another way of Big Brother watching out for you. We're just local Spring Hill. We want to do the best we can with the monies that we get in.
Look, I think my current adopted hometown of Mount Juliet, I think, is engaged in the same practice. I think Lebanon might be doing the same thing, if I'm not mistaken. So, look, you and I could get into a good discussion, Jim, and I about federal money. And look, I wish I could change a lot of things about the federal government, but I can't. And that's not what we're here to do right now. But for those that are curious about how they get more information, or perhaps if they live in Spring Hill and they've not been made aware of what they need to do, specifically, what do they need to do?
So they specifically can walk into City Hall and do a couple of clicks and fill it out, but best from your own home computer or even telephone. Just go to the City Hall, Spring Hill City website, and there's a big red button to click on, and it asks you a couple questions, which basically are, what's your address, what's your name, and how many people live in your house, what is their name, and that's it. It takes literally 2 minutes maximum.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, I wish it weren't this way, that we had to look toward the federal government for some of these grants and whatnot. But, I mean, it is the way that it is, and we're not going to change that tonight or tomorrow or next year or next 10 years. But if it is that way, then it is certainly behooving of you and the people of Spring Hill that they make sure that they are adequately counted, adequately represented, properly represented for the purposes of federal grants and other federal programs.
Absolutely. That's 100% spot on.
Well, I appreciate you stopping by, Jim. Thank you so much. I wish I could meet you in person. Maybe we can do that sometime. I'll come on down to, someone asked me a question about Spring Hill, by the way. And,
yes, sir.
And I don't know if this is sensitive or whatever. I'm flying blind. Members Nutrition Super Text line 1509 writes, please ask the mayor of Spring Hill, and that's you, if we're going to get a Ford Ice Center anytime soon. Everyone is hoping for it down here.
So we actually we have been in the stages of planning that for a couple of years, and I, as a civil servant, definitely want that to occur, and that will. We mentioned the interchange on 65. That services June Lake and other things, but the Ford Ice Center that was going to go, that is planned to go, is actually in that community of June Lake. So I will say yes, but it depends, and what it depends on is that the players that are involved in that, the City of Spring Hill and others, there isn't enough money to make that occur right now. And there are some roadblocks that there's reasons for that. And so when those roadblocks get ebbed away and blown out of the way, that is our hope that does occur, because everyone, like whomever your radio listener wrote in, he or she, we do want that to occur.
Well, Jim, thank you for stopping by via the phone. We appreciate you. Best of luck in your census efforts in Spring Hill, and let's talk again very soon, okay?
Thank you, sir, and congratulations on your show.
Thank you.
Everybody have a great weekend.
All right, you do too. There's Jim Hagaman, the mayor of Spring Hill. Look, for those of you on the Members Nutrition Super Text line asking the question, I get it. I understand it. And I don't think we're going to solve the overspending of the federal government with the mayor of Spring Hill today. The mayor called in. He wants an accurate count. They're paying locally to get an accurate count of their citizenry so that they can apply to the federal government for grants. If you don't like the idea of a local community, and I get it, and I am right there with you, but, Jim wanted to call in to kind of clarify what they were trying to do down there. I have every respect for that in the world. Now, if you feel like we have too many local mayors doing too many censuses. Is it censuses? Is it censi? let's say it's sensei, because I like that idea. If you have too many local mayors doing too many sensei, I think that's right.
I don't care if it's right. It's funny as hell.
I know it's not right, but I think it's funny. So, with all these sensei going on around the state of Tennessee, you're probably wondering, what the hell are we doing? Well, all of this is about federal money, and all of that's made up money. And you hear me talking often about what is the greatest existential crisis facing the United States of America in the long term? It's our overspending. The greatest one in the short term is our southern border. That said, he can't change the way the world works. He can only play by the rules handed to him. Now, if it frustrates you to the point that you don't like the idea of your local mayor requesting fake money from the federal government, well, then you can make a different selection in the next mayoral election. I mean, one way or the other, Jim is doing what so many other local mayors are doing, so many other local communities are doing, and that is trying to get an accurate count with regard to their citizenry so as to put that accurate count on their federal grant programs or whatnot. I understand the line in the sand that we would draw were I mayor. I wouldn't apply for federal grants, and I wouldn't be mayor very long either. Because that's a lot of free money. Free money, free money, free money, free money. And it's part of the problem. That's a greater conversation to have. I know Jim didn't want to call in for that, but it is a larger issue that so many of our local communities, instead of going to their local residents asking for their local money so that they can do local things on a local level, instead they go to the federal government. Why? Because the federal government can just print the crap. They don't actually have to print the crap, but you know what I'm saying. Well, that's a different deal. That's a different deal. I do recognize it and I understand it, but it is what it is.